So here we are and the system is broke. American dream has gone up in smoke. So stop sitting there all broken hearted. Let's get this motherfucking party started. Lady Liberty is ringing a bell, and we're driving us straight into hell. But don't worry, we got what you need. Crank up the volume till your eardrums bleed. Gonna make America again.
One of the best parts about my job is the fact that we can give each other shit and nobody gets sent to HR for it.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
I mean, but if we talk too much shit, then, you have to deal with the internet psychos. So there's that.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I think, well, vibes matter. I think if one person is not having it and the other person's egging them on, then, that's not fun. But if both people are laughing, then who cares? Who cares what other people think? Like, that's the thing. If it's a podcast is one thing. A podcast, you've got thousands of people listening and whatnot. But if you're having a conversation with somebody, perfect example for those who don't know, which I'm pretty sure everybody knows at this point, but I'd like to think that we have new listeners every time. My full-time job is I'm a firefighter, and I also happen to love 9/11
Thank you
jokes.
for your service.
Shut up.
Cut that laugh out. That laugh was trying to cackle.
No, we're keeping that.
Fuck.
I don't know. I love 9/11 jokes. It's just like the pinnacle of dark humor. I grew up on dark humor because all my friends would make fun of me for being Jewish, so I had to either learn to laugh at the jokes or take it personally and lose friends. Some of them, like, I still laugh at Jew jokes if it's one that I haven't heard, because there's some, they're just so played out. Everybody knows the same two or three.
It's hard to hear an original Jew. I don't think I've heard. I think the only original Jew jokes I've heard in recent days involve the underground Ninja Turtle situation that occurred.
Dude, that was the funniest thing I have seen in recent history. The Hasidic Jews coming out of the tunnels in Brooklyn, like, what?
What were they doing?
You can't write that. You can't write that.
Crazy theories about it too, from all the way from Ninja Turtles to some sort of den of iniquity underneath the basement. I thought it was like that. Did you ever see Ghostbusters 2?
Yeah.
That's what I thought it was. Like, maybe they just had that slime river down there where the ghosts, and they're just...
It's where they melt down all the gelt and they move it from one place to another.
Yeah.
Let me just reiterate that I am Jewish. Okay, I'm not making fun of Jewish. I feel like I have to say that. I always just feel like I'm walking this line of like, somebody's going to get offended for me kind of thing, which, is, our listeners are cool though. I think if you've listened to more than one episode, you kind of know what we're bringing to the table at this point, and our intentions are good. So I said a slur by accident on an episode, not because I just said it like it just came out. I didn't know it was a slur at the time. I grew up with this word. I'm not going to repeat it, but it starts with an M, and it's used to refer to that's people from a certain region of Asia, in reference to people with lower intellect. I had no idea that this was a slur. My dad just always said it when referring to people who make dumb decisions and whatnot. And like, when you say it out loud...
Oh, I know what it is.
Yeah. And
I could just start guessing, but you already got in trouble for it. I don't want to get in trouble for it.
Yeah, we'll play cancel bingo. But I said it like casually. Or no, I'm sorry. My friend said it. But I used the clip of him saying it as like our promo clip. And got tore up in the comments, reasonably so. It's funny to see that, if you're front and center, the one who fucked up, like I was, by posting that, I had no idea that was a thing. And look, it took me 0.2 milliseconds to learn. But
it happened to me. I went to England years ago. I went to England, and
there's no slurs for Brits that are off the table.
No, not specifically for the English. And fuck the English. Nobody cares about their feelings anyways. No, I was thinking of. I asked somebody, because I was having a conversation with someone, and we are talking about different slurs. This is before the internet was like in everybody's pocket all the time. It's before smartphones, because I'm old, and we were talking about things that, they asked me about the N-word, and I was like, yeah, that's really bad. You can't say that. That's really offensive. Towards a large demographic, and my question was, I think it was Packies, and I'm probably in trouble just for saying that now. I didn't know that was offensive. They were like, "Oh, that's like saying the N word. You can't say that." I was like, "Oh, okay." Like I didn't know. I mean, that's what I was told. Anyways.
Cultural differences are crazy. Like, mine wasn't so much a cultural difference. It was just growing up with a racist dad. But
Oh,
just normalizing it, thinking that's how certain people talk.
Mhm.
But
Oh yeah.
culturally, like, you can get fucked by going to a different country and not knowing what certain things that you're supposed to say and not say. And because there are words for people, like certain demographics, that are not what's the word I'm looking for? Denigrating. Like there are, like, people would ask me, they'd say like, "Oh, he's a Jew," and they'd be like, "Oh, can I say that?" And I'd be like, you can say that. Like, that's the word. That's literally the word. Or like there are certain words that, people will say amongst each other of similar demographics that are not offensive, but if somebody else outside of their
I mean, you can
circle
definitely.
says that,
There's a lot of like intention in saying something that's specifically derogatory, as
yes,
opposed to like there's a little bit of nuance to it. And I have friends who I've got a black friend. Be that white person. I have black friends. No, but I've had conversations with people of different races and been like, well, is this like offensive? Like I'll ask them, specifically what situations would I be able to get away with saying this? And they're like, if you say it respectfully, in relation to like you're telling a story or you're something like that shouldn't be offensive. Like there's usually lines that they'll put on there. Obviously, you can use things in a very hateful manner,
yeah, for
or
sure.
you can or you can just call children slurs on playgrounds and then get $1 million now apparently. So
That's wild
maybe
to
I'm
me.
just
That I
doing
didn't
this all
realize there was a
wrong. Maybe we just need to turn it around.
I didn't realize that there was a GoFundMe for that lady.
That's crazy.
Yeah, this is the world we live in now, where a lady calls a kid the N word, and people try to raise $1 million for her.
Anything to stick it to the libtards. Did I say that? Like, I'm not like I have like no political affiliation. So
Listen, there's a difference between like whatever we are and a liberal. I no hate to most liberals. Liberals are the liberal, like I'll say the DNC, the systemic liberal machine is the reason we are in the shit show that we are in right now. It's not because of Trump. It's because they let Trump get elected. It's because of all the things that they did leading up to this.
Their entire platform was insane. It was insane.
I
She was like, "I'm gonna ban all the guns," and here's Oprah. That was like, "What's your plan for fucking the economy?" And she's like, "Stuff. I don't know. I'm just gonna make the groceries cheap." How?
Yeah,
I'm
I
just
don't
gonna
know.
tell them to
Coming
do it.
from
I'll
people
make them
who
do it. Like, what the fuck are you talking
I know.
about?
I just don't. Yeah, we can doom and gloom on the past for a while, but I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and I was like, yeah, the DNC really dropped the ball with Kamala. They were like, yeah, she was horrible. She was like so liberal. It was crazy. Like, yeah, that's why they lost. I'm like, no, homie. They lost because she wasn't left enough. Like, you can't beat extremism with milk toast. You need somebody just as extreme, but on the opposite
they really
side.
were though. I mean, as far as like the two-party system, they were just like, we're the half-party system. They really were just like,
Yeah.
oh, we're going to compromise and bring everyone to the table, and
And then we're gonna wear shirts about it to show how upset we are. Look at our signs. Do something positive, liberals. Get arrested. Do
she had
something. Do
Beyonce,
something like.
so that's like all you need. Just no one can afford fucking milk anymore, but we're all living paycheck to paycheck. Well, I mean, most of us. But sorry, that's not my fault.
Like, yeah, Brynn, I just bought a Barrett 50 cals, living paycheck to paycheck.
Hey, look, most of my life I was poor as dirt. So I don't want to
Dude,
hear
I'm
it.
not hating at all. I love it. I love that for you. I think that's fucking
frugal with
awesome.
my money. Hey, that's my job. That's my job. My job is to shoot cool guns and make hopefully decent videos with it. So, it's all tax write off to me.
Hell yeah. That's the best part, really. I was just we just had Chris Chansky on today, and I was talking to her
You
about
had Chris Chan on?
Chris Chansky.
I stopped at Chris Chan. I was like, damn.
Wait, who's Chris Chan?
You know who Chris Chan is? Don't look that up.
I probably do.
Christina Chan. Now, it's a very famous lol cow for the internet. Sorry, I'm just a little bit too far down the internet culture rabbit hole.
I probably know who it is, but probably by face.
I didn't know any of this shit until after the pandemic when I was stuck in my house for a year because they really shut everything down here. So
I had most of my damage done during childhood when I had unrestricted internet access.
See, I didn't have the internet when I was a child, so it worked out for me. We just had horses and cows and shit, like dogs and.
Fair. Oh, you were a horse girl?
Well, I grew up in a horse family. I wasn't a horse girl. I hated it because I did not like shoveling horse shit. So,
fair.
We had to constantly go to fucking horse shows and put all the horses in the damn trailers and sit around in the heat all day, and it stunk. And
fun stuff.
But I love riding horses. I love horses and riding them. I just don't want to do all the other shit. So I wouldn't say I'm a horse girl per se.
There's connotations that come with that. My
sister, that was her personality though, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate whatever, I don't want to yuck anybody's yums, but there is a very distinct horse girl to furry pipeline that exists out there in the world.
Is there? Is that a thing?
There definitely is. There definitely is. I know two horse girls, and they're both furries. And again, hey, to each their own.
The hobbyist horse girls, where they like ride around on a little horse, jump over.
Were they what?
The hobbyist horse girls, the ones that ride like little hobby horses.
No, they were legit.
Horses.
Yeah, they were legit horse girls. One of them did. I forget it's like the showy kind of horse competitions, where they're like trotting and trying to like step sideways and stuff.
Like English riding?
Maybe.
With the helmets and stuff?
Yes.
Yeah, it's English.
I realize we haven't done an intro. We've been talking for 15 minutes.
Intro,
I don't know. Welcome everyone to the A Better Way to a Podcast.
Can you just like use an AI and just make me look younger?
This has an AI feature on it, and I used it once just to see what I would sound like, and you can give it a prompt. It listens to your voice, and it tries to speak in your voice, and it sounded like the way that I would sound if I was reciting my own suicide note. It was not a good rendition of my voice. It was like zero emotion. It was cold. There was like really poorly placed pauses. It was really bad.
You were just at the end of your rope. Was that like
that's what it sounded like?
That's hilarious. That's kind of funny.
I've listened to it, and I think I sent it to Andrew because I was like, this is too funny not to share. Yeah, that goes with the theme of we did a live today.
So you can just do mine and just make me say all sorts of crazy shit.
Hell yeah. Well, we'll just have you do our intros.
Man, you got to get that short. You got to get that YouTube short or the TikTok that's like, the perfect little soundbite of me saying like something completely insane or just really stupid. Just make me look really stupid. They love that shit.
They love that.
They love when women look stupid.
Yeah, I don't. There's no shortage of incels out there on the internet. That's for sure.
No, there's a lot of them. I think they'd go to the internet because they're lonely.
Listen, that's where most of my friends live.
The internet.
Well, I say most as in volume now. All my close friends are. What?
I said you have friends?
Are you talking shit again? Well, I mean, I think they're my friends. I've never met them in real life, but
it happens.
They say they're my friends. Yeah.
No, that's all my
but anyway, people at home, Brynn, stop talking for a minute. God, there's. Just kidding. I can't be mean to her. Listen.
I'll be right back. Hey, wait, give me like 2 seconds for real.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna do your intro while you're gone. We're here with Brynn Woods. This is our first iteration of this podcast. We definitely never sat down with her before. Had an awesome episode and then completely lost the episode. That would be incredibly unprofessional. This is not her second time on the podcast, but only the first time being released as an episode. Brynn does a lot of things. She is a Army vet, mom, gun person, served in Iraq, did a whole bunch of stuff with military intelligence and human, I think she was saying. And yeah, does OnlyFans, shoots guns, and is an all-around cool person. So thank you for coming on for the first time.
It's so great to be here and to be talking to you for the first time.
For the first time ever. We've never spoken before. This is fantastic.
Ever.
Andrew says, I just got this ominous text from Andrew that just said, I'm coming. And there's a million things that I'm thinking about responding to that, but he's I think that means he put his kid to bed and he's en route. For those at home, Andrew's life is chaos. It's part of the reason I love him, because he makes me see what is possible. What are the true limits of a man, where you can still maintain some semblance of composure and sanity. And I realize I'm nowhere near there, even as chaotic as my life feels sometimes. So thank you, Andrew, for being an inspiration to us all.
That really, really touches me in my heart. This bromance.
Good.
Beautiful.
I want
Beautiful
Andrew and
bromance.
I's bromance to be a bromance that men everywhere look to strive for.
Men are like that, you know. They're very like. There's something about the male brain that just like, I don't know if it's testosterone, but y'all just like really bond.
Well, I think there's a tribal need for community. Like you think about it, like there is even men, women, families. There's a tribal need for community and for camaraderie, and I think for men, not talking about toxic masculinity or anything that keeps us from hugging it out or telling each other we love each other and stuff like that, but like for men especially, when you find somebody that you really click with, I think it means a lot because we're told for our whole lives, not to show emotion, not to invest in others because that's weakness, or not to, whether implicitly or
That's like more of the toxic masculinity stuff you were referencing earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And Andrew, we're just talking about your bromance.
I've been here the whole time, and I agree with what you guys have said for 20 minutes.
Oh, cool.
I didn't have any input before, but I want you to know that I completely agree.
We were just talking about how this is also Brynn's first time on the podcast. So
This is my first time anything. I've never spoken with another human being before.
Wow.
I knew this about you.
Yeah, I'm actually
I also
AI.
knew this. Yeah, crazy. I would definitely listen. I've seen some crazy things on the internet, so I wouldn't be too surprised at this point.
With AI, it's like pretty soon everybody's gonna believe everything, or nobody's gonna believe anything.
I'm on the second one right now. Nothing ever happens.
Yeah. Brynn, what is up with these AI OnlyFans accounts? Have you
Oh my
seen
god!
these?
Like, did you see the one where they pretend to be like they have Down syndrome? Did you see that shit?
No.
No, there's
What?
literally like there's like multiple of them now, where these girls. I don't know if they're girls or if it's just a dude. I don't know how AI works. I don't know if it's like they generate the whole thing or they just change their face, but there are literally adult OnlyFans with Down syndrome, but they don't have Down syndrome. They just make themselves look like they do.
Whoa.
Why do they need to do AI to do that? How come
Why don't they just get like a
chicks
hot
with Down
OnlyFans girl who has Down syndrome?
Yeah, like
Chicks
why
without
don't,
Down syndrome are using AI to make it look like they have Down syndrome and
Yeah.
using that as a
right,
niche.
but
Yeah.
but I don't understand. Are there already like adult models with Down syndrome?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. If there's like any real ones none that I'm aware of. We don't exactly have like annual meetings or anything, but
Well, you should.
yeah, well,
You
I'll just
should.
get together and I'm sure that there's like probably a pool of Jello involved, and who knows. But
We actually wanted
Yeah.
to this year at SHOT Show. There was AVN was going on at the same time, and I wanted to go next year. If it's going on at the same time, I'm going to go because I want to talk to one of the guys we were with. Diego knows a bunch of the people who were at AVN, and specifically people who own guns. And I just like was going to be the only guy there not talking about porn, but with porn stars, and I thought it would be a cool experience. And
It would be.
probably I saw this like little like short or TikTok or whatever it was snippet of somebody interviewing this like AVN MILF creator. I don't know who she is. I honestly I don't watch porn. I know that technically I'm in some of it, but I just don't really watch it. And
Yeah, I get that.
but I guess it's
You
like
don't get high on your own supply.
yeah, exactly. That's what it is. I just gotta I keep my hands clean somehow. Look, I'm a good Catholic girl, and I just
Yeah.
can't
No, I
do
get
that. There's this like middle-aged woman. She's very attractive. She's a porn star of some kind. It's just and they people go up to her and they just immediately start asking her about like what was your favorite dicks and shit like that. And like
What was
I'm
your
like
favorite dick?
so glad that I just didn't go that far down the rabbit hole. I think that
Jesus
there's
Christ.
tier levels to it.
100%.
There's like the tied up in a basement somewhere, and then on the other side you have like, oh, I do bikini pics on Fansly. It's not like
Yeah.
there's different. It's a full spectrum of stuff. But yeah, I'm just glad nobody like comes up to me and immediately is thinks to ask me, you know, like, oh, what was your favorite like dick that you've ever had?
To be fair, I feel like a lot of the the content creators, not the actual porn stars, but like the ones who go to AVN to interview people are like, this is the only time that I can talk exactly how my brain thinks, and it's socially acceptable.
Well, arguably.
Well, they think
Relatively.
so, and like that's why they're like, oh yeah, what they just want to be able to put the words together in a sentence and say it because it makes them feel less stuff stifled. But it's cringy as hell. I think it's weird. I think it's weird when people are just like,
it's kind of weird. I mean,
it's like I get it's your job, but it'd be you know what it's like. You know what it's akin to? It's crass and classless. It's like when I get asked as a firefighter, what's the worst call I've ever been to?
Yeah.
It is a
or
natural...
like when somebody asks a soldier, hey, have you ever killed anybody?
Yes.
Oh god,
yes.
that's the worst. That is the worst. Yeah.
It's like, dude, you could use your brain for so many more things other than like the lowest possible effort tier of question right now.
Yeah, but you just ain't gonna get it. People are they're very two-dimensional.
They're
a lot of
gonna
them.
get it.
But that being said, like there are people out there who make the awkwardness work for them. You know, like what's his name, Andrew Callahan. I used to love. I still love his videos. But like when he was doing like News Channel 5 stuff in the way beginning, he was awkward as fuck. Like that dude cracked me up. Yeah, and he's awkward as hell. But he wasn't. It wasn't like making people feel uncomfortable.
It's disarming being like endearingly awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
On the other side of that spectrum is the quirky girl. I'm so quirky. Look at me.
Yeah,
but it's an act. Because if she was really quirky, she'd be a horse girl.
Of course, yeah, that's true.
You know,
quirky girls aren't going to tell you they're quirky. They're not going to act quirky. They're just going to make you look at them and go like, "What the fuck is wrong with you, bitch? What are you doing? Why are you wearing pajamas in the fucking middle of the store?" You know, like
that's not quirky. That's trashy.
There's There's like a Netflix movie called Horse Girl with Alison Brie. It's like it's not funny. It's actually like really sad. I mean, it's like a little bit funny, but it's like what you're talking about, the like dysfunctional horse girl, like dysfunctionally awkward, like slowly loses her mind.
I think.
Wow.
Yeah, I really just think
from 0 to 10.
That's like women with autism. That's just how we end up.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's a really good movie, and just you talking about awkward horse girls made me think of it.
I don't think you have autism. I think you're just hysterical.
Yeah, this.
Oh, I mean, I might be. I don't know. You talking about me or him?
You mean like hysterical compliment, not hysterical.
No. Like I think she probably has the fumes.
Hysterical. You know, they used to prescribe orgasms for that. So
I know.
I'm getting a weird sense of deja vu here.
Yeah, weird. It's like we've been here before.
Why?
No, it's just like women are historically way underdiagnosed for autism because the doctors are not as equipped to deal with autism in women as they are autism in men. You know,
what are you talking about? RFK's family found the solution, the final solution to autism.
Oh, is it euthanasia?
Oh no, is that what we're calling it?
It's a frontal lobotomy.
Eugenics. Oh, right. That's what they did in their family. One of the fucking Kennedys, they do that to one of the daughters. They gave her lobotomy.
She was a vibrant young woman, but she wasn't behaving herself, so they fucking lobotomized her.
Yeah.
There were people who had lobotomies that it was objectively good for, but I couldn't tell you what the current like modern medicine to treat that would be now.
Yeah, I don't know about objectively, but maybe on the
chemically lobotomized people now, you know, instead of physically.
I'm sure that there's somebody that like on the net may have posed a real problem to society if you hadn't fried their brain. That doesn't make it okay to do that.
Yeah. Well, assuming it wasn't consensual.
Yeah, right.
That's what I mean. Yeah, not cruel and unusual like punishment for.
But then you get into like power dynamics, and it's really hard to say like what was and wasn't consensual with that kind of medical treatment back in that time. You know.
Yeah.
Well, you can be misinformed, but like if both parties are misinformed, then like who's in the wrong in that situation? Obviously, the doctor has a responsibility of knowing if something's going to work or not, but.
Yeah. Or knowing if something is actually a treatment or is just going to, destroy a part of your brain and make you manageable.
Right. I mean, it's all, but there's also like a lot of, risk management that occurs in the medical field too.
Sure,
so they're just going to be like, well, let's see. Either they're going to go on and cause destruction and chaos or.
Yeah. Well, I get that, but I just don't think that any actually intelligent doctor was ever able to fool themselves and drive a spike into someone's fucking eye socket and say, this is good. This is good what I'm doing.
No, there's probably a lot of there's a lot of doctors you just know they're like psychopaths.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They're just like clinical psychopaths. They do not feel empathy.
To be fair though, there is a I had a car once that had a fucking power steering pump that would not shut the fuck up. And so instead of fixing it, I got a serpentine belt for the model car that did not come with power steering. So I just got rid of the power steering by circumventing it, and therefore I did not have a power steering pump problem anymore.
So when you did you have to turn the wheel like you were a fucking captain on a pirate ship?
Yeah.
Your truck's not a sentient being though with rights.
Don't you talk about Esmeralda that way?
Okay.
That for all intents and purposes, that was a joke.
If you have to clarify that something is a joke, it's usually not funny.
You don't have to tell me that, Brynn. That's my whole life, okay? I live my life clarifying to people that I'm joking and not actually serious. I'm going to do it this time. I'm just kidding. I
just got a notification on my system tray on my computer about heavy tea storms is the way they phrased it. And I envisioned an army of tea girls just sweeping over the state of Texas and just cleaning house in the capital.
Is that
and that's a tea storm.
Isn't tea that's like rumors, right? Isn't that rumors as well?
Spilling the tea.
Yeah.
Brynn, I realize there are a bunch of people who did not spend an entire episode with you before coming here, who do not actually know much about you, because I realize much of our conversation has been bullshitting because we're having a good time. We're just a couple people having fun,
fucking hanging out,
chill people.
What are you talking about? We've never spoken before. You just gotta ask me.
I know we've never spoken before. You've never spoken to anybody before.
God damn it! I ain't got time for this shit. Okay,
I know.
You spoke to my team. This is very unprofessional.
I know. 2 out of 10 will not get an invite back.
You might find this out about us, Brynn, but we are actually unprofessional.
Oh, yeah. Well, not that I would know. I've never spoken with y'all before. I have this running joke with some of my friends around here about how because the internet's filled with crazy rumors and crazy shit, and if you're a personality on the internet, you're going to have to deal with all sorts of crazy fucking rumors about you. So I always joke with my friends here that they're going to keep a running tab of terrible things I do so they can do their Brynn expose in a couple of years,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So nice. Anytime I'll do something, we'll be joking around, I'll talk shit, or I'll smack someone, and they'll be like, that's going in the documentary. So that when we do the Brynn expose,
and that's so clever.
Exposing what a huge piece of shit I really am, because that's the standard on the internet now. Eventually, you're gonna get exposed.
You might as well monetize it, right?
Yeah, right?
When you're ready to retire, let your friends expose you, and then they make the money.
You got to build that lore up, So when it's time for me to crash out,
valid crash out.
Yeah.
I just want whoever finds my old Facebook and digs up my old cringy Facebook statuses. Send the pictures and videos my way too, because I had some gold on there that I really miss that I thought I saved before I deleted my Facebook, but I didn't. So there's a decade of memories that are gone. So if you're gonna find a tweet or a status that I said, when during the first Trump and Hillary election, give me those pictures too. Oh, you're at it.
I want my MySpace back. That's what I want back.
Yeah.
You guys don't even know what that is. Hey, you're like, what the fuck is that?
What are you talking about? I had a MySpace. I had a MySpace.
I wasn't into social media until
Brynn, you're not 50, okay?
I'm getting there. Getting there.
You're aren't you 46, 47? Is that what you said?
Now you're making me older. God damn it.
45. I thought you said 46 or 47. I'm
45,
a piece of shit.
damn.
45. All right.
Bleep it out. Bleep it out.
Right.
Yeah,
no,
I'm going to bleep out 47 and it's going to say 26.
Still with the AI voice. So it's
aren't you 26?
Aren't you?
I was telling Andrew, remember when I had it say that paragraph about something but in my voice.
No.
AI, there's an AI thing. Oh, maybe I just told you about it and I didn't send it to you. I was telling Brynn it sounded like I was reading my suicide note because there was there was no emotion and there was no...
It's affectless.
Yeah, it was pretty...
Just the end of the road. It just is what it is. It's just time to let go.
No, if I ever have to read my suicide note on a live recording, I'm going to be screaming it because I'm going to have to get the volume over the roaring of the engine and the wind and the sirens.
The playing of Creed in the background.
Yeah, and Creed. I'm gonna have a big ass movie drone like with 8 rotors following me with a giant fucking boombox playing Creed at 70 miles an hour from the air.
Yeah, I'm not gonna leave a note. I'm gonna leave it absolutely mysterious and inscrutable.
My daughter's grandfather just walked out back and shot himself in the head with a shotgun. So yours is much more poetic.
Oof.
Veteran suicide. Terrible.
Awkward.
Terrible thing.
If I ever do,
That
I'm
sucks.
going to do it ambiguously, like the National Lampoon guy, where we don't know if he meant to jump or if he fell or like what. And to this day, people wonder about it.
Make it a murderman.
Yeah, you know what you could
Shoot
do
yourself
is
in the back of the head.
Yeah,
I was just
right.
gonna say that. I was just gonna
Yeah.
say. Well, I actually said at a work function once. I got really drunk and told my boss that I wouldn't shoot myself if I was gonna kill myself because I didn't want to contribute to the statistics.
Yeah, no, that's valid though. I've thought about that.
You know, yeah. I think he looked at me and said, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
No, but it's real though. Like
It's real. It's real.
That's yeah.
But anyway, Brynn, what got you into OnlyFans?
Where the fuck did that come from? Jesus Christ. One thought. That's all, men, just one fucking thought.
No, we were talking about guns.
Just holding it in there. You're like, it's time.
I've
Brynn,
got this
his
like
logic follows.
Brynn, OnlyFans,
suicide,
OnlyFans, suicide,
like,
OnlyFans.
It's one and then the other.
Suicide girls, OnlyFans.
It's a funny story. So there I was, I was a nun, and I was just getting ready to give my vows, and I had just completed a missionary to the Middle East, where I was spreading the gospel of Boeing and Raytheon to the good people of the Middle East. And after I was done doing that, I came home and I decided not to, become a nun after all. And I ended up becoming a medical student. And in the middle of that, the pandemic happened. We had the world came to an end. It was 28 days later. And there were fucking zombies in the road, and that's how I got into guns. Was I was just killing zombies all the time, and I'm just obviously making this shit up.
And we had a wildly different pandemic experience.
No, but the pandemic sucked, and here everything shut down in the state. Everything shut down, and I couldn't even go to the gym, which was like all my dopamine. We couldn't go to school, and I sucked at remote school. I was not doing well. I was failing out of multiple classes, and because I just can't do remote school. I have too much ADHD to do that shit. So
I feel that.
Basically, I was like, what do I do with my time? And this is like 2019 was the beginning of this, right before 2020. Yeah. Back then, there was this little app that not a lot of people knew about. There's about 20,000 people on there. It was mostly just like stupid little dance videos and memes. It wasn't until the pandemic that TikTok like really blew up, and before then it was just people making fun of theater kids and leftovers from Vine, and then the pandemic happened, and suddenly you had a couple million middle schoolers stuck at home. They blew up the app just blew up, and I had a huge following on there like overnight. And
waiting for the part where you say that you didn't get into OnlyFans because of middle schoolers.
No.
No, it was all middle schoolers. I didn't know there were middle schoolers at the time. No.
But were they paying?
No, not like that. No. So let me explain.
Okay, all right.
She said she was 18.
I'm gonna back it up. We're backing it up. Okay, hang on.
All right.
Back.
This is gonna be that out of context clip that we take and cancel you.
It's gonna be. Okay, so
I just want to hear where this is going.
So there I was, in an army of middle schoolers.
Yeah, so there I was grooming a bunch of young men.
Exactly.
No. That's a joke.
When I first was on TikTok, all of my followers were adults because my content was focused on veteran shit. I was making jokes.
Yeah.
And this is before it was like a big thing. There was a tiny little veteran community on TikTok. just like some old man who downloaded this weird dancing app. There was a lot of very small community on there, and it was mostly adults, and then everybody was or sorry, older adults, and everybody else was in their 20s. I don't consider people in their 20s adults, really. So, but there was a pretty limited amount of people on there, and I knew my community pretty well. And then it started to blow up because there was like this whole MILF thing that they were really interested in.
For sure, dude.
Like in my late 30s, and
is that MILF late 30s?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I think
Jesus.
Yeah, I think somewhere 30s to 40s, that sort of time period is general consensus. Shit. I mean, I've seen like 21-year-olds calling themselves MILF though. So
really?
Yeah, but
That's
there was
strange.
like a big.
That feels like a lie.
Yeah. No, for real. I've seen like 20-year-olds calling themselves MILFs on the internet.
I'm not saying you're lying. I'm saying if a 20-year-old says they're a MILF, I feel like that is a lie.
No, you're a teenager who had a kid.
They try to borrow from like whatever the trends are. And this was like a period of time when MILF was like a trend thing, because you had all these coming of age people on TikTok who were like looking, for, I don't know, gooning material. And they would come to, it was a new thing. There was like women on the internet doing social media videos, and it was new to them, so there was a lot of curiosity around it. And that's really why TikTok took off anyways, because it was all like girls on the internet.
Yeah, that and 9/11 jokes.
Now, I made a 9/11 joke on there in 2020, and that just did not go well. So suddenly there was a huge population on the app, and no, not at all. There was a huge population.
Must have been too soon.
It was. But there was, it's mostly just, it was super liberal. It was like super liberal, because it was all like, a lot of people from like old Tumblr went there, and from all these other places.
Rough crowd.
Yeah.
Rough crowd to make 9/11 jokes around, I should say.
Any jokes around that their jokes, I don't find them funny, obviously, but I think I'm fucking hilarious. There was so I'll try to streamline this fucking conversation. Jesus Christ, I'm just rambling. There was
it's nice to have the rambling. It's nice for us not to ramble for once.
Oh, that's I'll just talk myself into a fucking hole. I already came on here.
You're good. You're doing great.
Why did you get into OnlyFans? Middle schoolers got me into OnlyFans. No, but there was a lot. There's the fucking soundbite. There it is, right there.
There it is.
No, but I had a big following overnight, and I didn't know that a lot of them were underage, but I wasn't making adult content at all. I wasn't producing it for TikTok. I wasn't producing it anywhere. But I had a lot of people who were asking me to go on OnlyFans, and
isn't that weird to just be fucking existing as a woman?
It was new. There was like a couple thousand people on there, but people found out. They're like,
people are like, do this.
Yeah, there was a lot of drive and. If you were a woman on TikTok then who was moderately attractive, there would be nothing but a huge push to get you to, go make an OnlyFans, because they just wanted to see everybody naked. So
same. I get that all the time.
I mean, it makes sense. Like, I understand, and
I wonder how many of those dudes are the same ones that will then go and say OnlyFans detected, opinion rejected.
Oh, 100%. Same guys.
Shit.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. But at the time, there was just a lot of energy into that. There was a lot of encouragement by a very large male audience of varying ages. I make the joke that they're all middle schoolers, because there was a lot of like middle schoolers on TikTok. But like I said, I wasn't making that content. I was just making content, and I didn't know who the fuck my audience was, because I was just a dumbass lady in her 30s who's having fun. And when I did find out that I had any like minor content, I ended up deleting that entire account, because I was like, I didn't want to accidentally, push over that. So I've always been responsible, and I don't want to fucking. You see these girls on like Twitch who, all they do is like market their OnlyFans on there to like a group of teenage boys. Teenage boys, they have
like, go get your parents' credit card.
Right.
Yeah.
You can pay me in Steam gift cards.
They teach you this in biological anthropology, which is that the majority of culture happens in middle school. Because adults, we don't make new culture. But
I believe it.
We'll make new culture.
We're just nostalgic about
Yeah. We don't make new culture as adults. We're set. We're done. Kids make new cultures. And anytime there's like new words or shit like that, all this stuff is happening. You know,
No cap.
Yeah.
On God,
fucking
respectfully.
Rizzler. I think this is all old shit. They call it the Huzz now. Where they're calling it the Huzz and some other shit. Like they have
The Huzz.
They have some crazy new words. Oh, the new word for ugly is chopped.
That's actually kind of funny.
That's like the new one. Yeah. Like
that's like a rap thing from the 90s.
Is it?
Is
I
it?
don't know.
Chopped and screwed.
Am I yelling? I have this habit, like this 90s kid habit of yelling at electronics because when I was little, we had this phone that plugged into the wall, and if you put it on speaker, you have to yell at it because it was just poor technology.
I do the same thing. I do the same thing for the same reason.
I still do.
Also, I'm deaf.
I still yell at technology.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I just have hearing damage, so I get excited, and ADHD, so I get excited, and I don't know how fucking loud I'm talking.
Yeah.
And I wake up the kids, and my wife gets mad.
So, anyways, please edit this down. Jesus Christ. So
it's going in raw.
I'm used to that. There was a lot of sorry. There was a lot of interest in it that I had a big follow. I had like 1 million followers on there, which at the time was like a big deal.
Yeah.
I'd never done anything like that, and they were like, "Well, do it." And I was looking at the numbers,
bro.
I was looking at the numbers. Honestly, I was like 50,000 people asking me to do this thing. Like, well, I'll give it a try. You know, I'll just do a little bit. Just do a little bit here and there. You know, I'll just be a little seductive and just make some hot pictures. And I did, and right away it just was on fire. I was a little bit early to a lot of this stuff. I said there wasn't a lot of people on OFN, so I had a lot of early success.
Yeah.
It was like getting in early to Bitcoin, honestly. Like I just was there at the right time and, supply and demand.
Yeah, cards fell in the right place. Yeah.
Got lucky.
Yeah.
And at some point, you did, obviously you were into guns before that because you were in the military and whatnot. But
I grew up with guns. Like I grew up shooting when I was little.
Yeah.
I
I got you. So before the military.
So we all shot. Yeah.
At what point did you want to mesh the two and have your social media be very gun focused, and it also leads people to the links in your bio kind of thing. But all your clips are gun related or vet related. Military related. And
most of them. Yeah. I do some thirst trap stuff, but I think a lot of it is a big part of it is just trying to be authentic, and that was just what was going on in my life. I was getting back into firearms. I had a little bit of a bad relationship with firearms post Iraq, just because to me at that time, guns meant violence and survival, and I couldn't pick up a gun without getting that feeling of, oh, something's going to happen, something bad's going to happen. And so, but I always loved shooting sports and I wanted to get back into it, but there was that hurdle I had to get over where I only associated guns with war, and not, precision shooting and all this other fun stuff you can do, marksmanship shooting and 2-gun and 3-gun and all that other stuff. And I started going to a shooting club, and I bought an AR-10, I think it was a SIG 716, and a couple of pistols. And because I had some guns before, I sold them all when I moved, because I was going to therapy. I was trying to get past that feeling of this, and that was part of it. And so I just started shooting a lot, and I was having a great time because I finally was just like, and it, honestly, it helped that there was a lot of like old men at the shooting range, because very like father figure, because they would be there to be like, oh wow, good job, they were like proud of me, so it just really fueled that. And then one day I was like, I was shot my AR-10, and I was like, wow, my ass really jiggles in this. It would be funny if I put this on the internet, because I have an idea of what people like, So I put it.
I am a person.
Yeah.
Men are simple. We enjoy
like.
Physics.
Hey, you know what?
It's not just men. Okay, women like the booty.
My goal as a content creator.
I'll stare at a video on YouTube of a miniature battleship in a pool reacting to the waves somebody makes on the other end of the pool. Like I don't know. Maybe
Same
that's
thing as the booty.
Maybe that's something else.
Same thing.
Yeah. You know what I've been getting recommended on my For You YouTube is adults riding small trains. But not kids trains. These are like full scale replica, like half or quarter size replica trains.
Yeah.
But they have like adult size seats on them and they sit on them.
So it's not like the little train like at like
no,
carnival.
They've got like acres of rail that they ride these like mini trains on. They don't sit in the train; they sit on the train. Yeah, I don't know. Somehow that's been coming up on my recommended, and I've been watching the shit out of it. That's
now you mention it, my phone's gonna hear it, and it's gonna start recommending it to me.
Yeah. So anyway, physics. Yeah. So that's. I mean, that just sounds like it was like right place, right time, and it worked out. And the gun stuff added to that is kind of like the icing on the cake. It's because like dudes would probably subscribe to your OnlyFans regardless of whether you were shooting guns, but the gun thing adds a bit of a I feel like it's almost like a legitimacy to people who might not be into it otherwise. We were talking earlier these criticisms that people have. The OnlyFans rejected, OnlyFans detected, opinion rejected, and I feel like you shooting guns and you doing stuff like that, regardless of whether or not you like it, because it's awesome that you do, but I feel like doing that probably shuts up a fraction of those people.
Yeah, and part of that is that's like a form of dehumanization, and it's hard to dehumanize 100%. People who do things that you enjoy or respect, because people will be like, I'll get people that'll come on my page and they'll be like, oh, you're just a whore. What do you even do with your life? I'm like, I'm retired military. What are you talking about? They'll be like, what did you contribute? I'm like, other than good jack-off material, or at least mediocre jack-off material, I served my country, and, I've contributed to society in other meaningful ways. And they're just like, well, why do you do this now?
They're not compute.
They're like, well, why did you leave all that respectful living to come and do, this horrible heathenistic job? And it's like, I don't know, man, because
look at all my guns,
and I don't mind it. I enjoy it. So
it's such a weird projection to put on people. Like my morals tell me that you are a shitty person, and I can't just leave that to myself. I have to tell you that and shame you for your life decisions. I don't know what kind of Christianity that is, but
I think it's just people in general. People like to feel superior. It's just how it is. They might look at me and be like, oh, she's got money, or maybe they're attracted to me or whatever. Not saying that I'm not attractive or anything, because I'm not. I'm just saying that there's like, people get upset.
None of that, please.
They,
was that a self neg?
What's that?
Was that like you like
I don't want to come on here and sound like I've got like some fucking big ass ego, because I don't.
You're allowed.
You have an OnlyFans with people who pay to see you do it, and I think you can say that you're attractive as a person without
Beauty is subjective.
I call Andrew attractive all the time. I say Andrew's an objectively attractive man, and a great husband and a father, and I love him to death.
It's the Burt Reynolds chest here. That's what it is.
Oh my god, yeah. No,
this bad boy right here.
Yeah, that's good. Can you curl
That's just the tip of the iceberg.
Ooh,
there's actually more.
Ooh,
if you, it goes on forever. It's going to the floor at this point. It's just like root.
But actually,
it knocks. He's like
is all the way down.
He's like a hobbit.
Where were we at with this conversation?
I don't know.
Oh shit. Talking about double standards talking about like what kind of fucking Christians are so like judgy and violent.
People, I think in general are kind of, but at the same time,
I think it's a human impulse, and then they back that into Christianity.
There's definitely a big part of that. Well, there's a lot of that was a lot of control of the church. If you make people feel shame for doing this other thing, and then you go, oh, well, we can make you feel better. We can alleviate your shame and your guilt. Come to us. I mean, that's why Catholicism is just filled with guilt, but you fill that hole with, control. It's a method of control. I'm not saying that all religion, theology, beliefs are a form of control. Definitely not. People need some sort of belief structure in their lives, whether it's family or religion or whatever, but a lot of organized religion is just very government control centric.
Yeah.
Yeah, pass that collection plate around and do it publicly so you feel like you have to do it kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. But I think, on the other side, like we were saying before, on the other side of the coin, I don't think that like we should be celebrating, sex work. I honestly don't think that it should be like heralded. It shouldn't be shamed, but I don't think it should be like, because
Well,
it
it's a
seems like
job.
we do like one thing or the other. Because there's people who are like, oh, it's so liberating, and you're just really empowering to like. It's really not. It's not at all. But that became a narrative for a while.
I'm sure, it's like, I feel like whenever there's some novel thing, and not that sex work is novel, it's the oldest profession in the world, but
Yeah.
I feel like the acceptance of it in modern times could be considered relatively novel.
Yeah.
And I feel like whenever we have some sort of cultural shift like that, there is a rubber band effect. And
Yeah.
we see it with everything. We see it with like social issues, especially, if it becomes socially acceptable, look at like gay marriage.
Right.
There was a point.
Looking.
Fucking look at it. But there was a time where the majority of the country didn't support it. And then when it became legalized nationwide, it was like you were then seen as like, even if you didn't understand it or whatever, you were seen as like a awful person if you didn't support it, and because it was like, well, this is and I'm not saying everywhere. Obviously, this is region specific. I live in Connecticut,
yeah, I was
so
gonna say like not
here,
where I live. Where I lived, you were
no. But like, it wasn't seen as something that was. Now that it's legal, it's
I'm not saying
normal.
I agree with that, by the way. I'm just saying that's just how.
No. Of course, I know. But like, now it's normal. Like it's normalized, but societally,
Yeah.
I would say,
Yeah.
it's not like, oh my God, you're so brave for saying that you're in a same-sex marriage. It's just, it is the way that it is, which is the way that it should be. It should just be a regular status quo thing.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's, and now like with sex work, I feel like now that so many people do it, it's becoming normalized, and it's coming down from like the hype train of saying, like you're a martyr for us or for women everywhere, or because honestly, I mean, I think it's great, anybody who wants to do it, but at the end of the day, it's a job, it's a way people pay the bills.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if people are going to pay you to do it, then that's awesome.
Well, one of the other things, like in terms of like the social, I mix social and cultural, and I mix cultural. That's a new word.
Cultural.
Cultural stigma is like, people will say, oh, people are gonna mock your children, and nobody's ever gonna want to hire you or talk to you again. But literally, the top,
dude, your dad's a cop.
the top OnlyFans girl, who she's retired now. She was the top girl when I came in. She was the top girl. She was the number one. She had the highest follower count and the highest like count, for years. And she left to become a lawyer. She finished law school. She paid for her law school. She did all her stuff, and she got out. And then she moved on. Now she works for a law firm. Like, so the whole like, oh well, nobody's gonna hire you thing is bullshit. Plus, most of them end up making their own businesses anyways. The other thing is, they'll say, oh, your family's going to be ashamed of you. And that might be the case with some members, but, they're like, oh, people will make fun of your kids. And I don't know, maybe that would be different if it was a male experience. You'd have to tell me, like, do you think that's probably something that the little boys would do, huh? Make fun of their like friends' mom doing OnlyFans.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they make fun. Yeah, but that's the same impulse as these older guys. That will like push you to do OnlyFans and then like reject your humanity for it. Where it's like they're out there fucking jorking the penis,
jorking the peanuts.
But then also it's like they view women who do that as like.
It's like the Madonna whore complex.
I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's such a childish impulse, isn't it?
Yeah, you're either just a pure mother and life giver, or you're just an absolute whore. You can't be a mixture of
both.
Or both. You can be both. You can, absolutely. Yeah.
Duality.
Either or is the concept. I don't. But it's just like.
Yeah, I don't know.
But there's a lot of. My point was that there's a lot of stigmas associated with it.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people are trying to combat that, both individually and culturally. But I never really cared, honestly. Like personally, mostly because of my experience being in a war zone and living this like extreme existence. Was that coming back from that, I just don't give a shit about anything. Nothing bothers me anymore. Unless you're trying to come into my house and shoot me, or did nothing really like creates that sort of threat level quite the same way. You know what I mean? Like, oh no, people will judge you. I don't care.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Somebody said, "Oh, you know what? This was something that I think it's appropriate here." So we had Princess and the Pistol on a while ago as a guest.
Oh, I love her. She's the one with
she's awesome.
Jill Carey does the outfits and stuff.
Yeah, and someone said, I'd love to hear both of your takes on this. Someone said in our comments, they were asking if she was like a cool person, like does she support gun rights for everybody? And we were like, yeah, absolutely. Just based on our conversations with her, we didn't explicitly ask it on the podcast because just based on our conversations, Andrew and I were both under the assumption that everything she was into was vibing with what we were. Somebody was like, well, her very first reel was like super transphobic. And I looked at it, and it said, if your identity relies on something along the lines of, if your identity relies on the validation of strangers on the internet, then the problem isn't with the strangers on the internet. I took that as not as transphobic, but as you need to prioritize the things that matter to you. If you're taking the opinions of people who have zero effect in your life, it's like cyberbullying, but like the way we joke about cyberbullying in the sense that like you can just shut it off. Nowadays it's much harder for kids, obviously, but like people say horrid shit to us in our messages, and depending on how I'm feeling, I might joke back or I might just block them. But I don't engage in a way that is actually going to make me feel worse about myself.
You don't get triggered. Fucking libtard. You don't get triggered?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. Sometimes I do, but it's... Huh? Yeah. You call me a piss boy?
Piss boy.
Piss boy.
Are you triggered? Huh? Are you triggered now?
No, I'm super triggered. And granted, this is a...
Now what?
What was that?
I said 13 and 50%. Now what? You triggered?
What does that mean?
What does that mean?
Oh, I'm not going to explain it then. I'm not going to... We'll just leave that one at the door. Well, somebody else will answer that. Oh. I was just coming up with things that were just like ambiguous. I was coming up with things that were ambiguously supposed to be offensive to you because you're a libtard. That's all. That's what I was doing.
13 and 50. Oh, I see. Yes.
Oh, you got it. Okay,
I've seen those numbers. Now I get it. I had to go deep into the pits of racist.
It's like a dog whistle. It's like I think it's like a dog whistle.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
That's
bad. It goes back to what we were talking about earlier.
Boo.
Boo me. Boo me. You're booing nothing to me.
No, you're not. I'm just joking.
That's the equivalent of the OnlyFans detected opinion.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But we get people, and like, granted, this is the way I see that is from my own perspective as a straight cis white dude, and my lived experience has pointed me to the way to perceive that is like, hey, just don't put stake in what strangers think. I think that's essentially what you're saying is, if you're going to let a bunch of people who, quite frankly, are not paying the bills ruin your life, then that's probably an indicator that you need to just get off the internet. Not that you're necessarily doing anything wrong, but that you just need to you need to go touch grass. If that pisses people off, like I would love to hear that. Send us an email, write us a message on Instagram, but like that's my take. And
I mean, just like telling people to log off, take a break.
Like I didn't think what she said was transphobic. I think I'm fairly good at
Did somebody explain why they consider that transphobic?
So I don't know, but I think that they thought that it was like invalidating trans people's feelings. That's what I'm assuming. But I just took that as her saying, like, spend less time on the internet if the people on the internet who you're never going to meet are making you feel like shit. Mm-hmm. Or go to therapy. I don't know.
There are people who get offended as like a profession. They're like experts at it, and that was definitely been a part of internet culture for a long time. I don't know what the psychological occurrence is that causes people to get offended on about things, but I definitely think it's like kind of like a power thing, this is a way for me to influence and control other people's behavior.
Want to hear something that's going to blow your mind and probably upset a lot of people? But I heard this take from, and I'm not saying I agree or disagree with it, but it was profound, the thought process that this forced me down. Ever since we have gotten more racial and gender and sexual equality, the prevalence of self-diagnosed mental illnesses has increased because cis white women, and I'm not saying this doesn't apply to non-cis people, but because now cis white women are feeling like they have less of the pie for sympathy. So they are finding new ways to become marginalized. I'm not saying I agree with this, but I was thinking about this. Was like,
oh no, you're
you see
not wrong.
this resurgence in like people writing out all of their mental health like struggles in their bio as like a resume.
Yeah.
And you know, it's everyone's has the right to do whatever they want, but I can't ignore the linear like the path here. And I'm not saying, you know, everyone's opinions change as they become more educated and whatnot, but it was a very interesting take that like I said, I don't have enough information about to agree or disagree with it, but you know, it's like think of the modern conservative movement of, you know, calling everybody snowflakes while simultaneously being the most fucking triggered portion of the population ever.
Right.
You are the most protected, the least oppressed group in the country. So what do you do when all these other people start getting more rights? Cry about it.
So I mean, a lot of that is the people you see online are a vocal minority, right? So like you go out into the real world, and that's not how the real world is. The real world functions normally.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a normal world out there. You know, there's not crazy shit happening all the time.
Yeah.
Here and there's some crazy shit, but mostly it's pretty normal when you go outside. A lot of this shit's just online. It's just in our fucking heads. We're just all hallucinating, you know, together in this fucking weird little cyber reality we've concocted. And people are delusional on here too. They think that's the real fucking world. It's like going from Instagram and then you go outside and you go to Walmart and you're like, wow, these people don't look like the people on Instagram. You know, you're like, well, because you're in the fucking real world now. So
buckle up.
It's not a clear cut like representation of the population. There's a lot of people who just fucking aren't online. You know, they're not all sitting on fucking Twitter waiting to see what happens next.
Dude, I love when somebody asks me if I understand a reference and I don't. You know, I'm fortunate enough to be surrounded by a very diverse group of people, and every day we have hard conversations, and every day we talk about things we disagree with. And I realize that for a large portion of the population, they don't have that experience and they don't have the coping skills that have been constructed as a result of having adversity, working through adversity, having adversity. Right, everyone experiences adversity, but being forced to work through it and not just like put up a trigger warning. Like trigger warnings, the way that they initially were introduced, were beneficial to the people who needed them. And then I think people saw it as a way to avoid discomfort.
As you're saying this, I'm thinking about it, and I realize like a big part of it is just one of the biggest problems with the internet, with people in general, is just it's like there's a very strong sense of entitlement. You know, people feel like entitled to having their opinions validated and having their things they like validated in a way that's like, that's just not always going to happen. Right or left doesn't matter, but a lot of people they just want, they feel like say for instance, the fact that a lot of people on the right feel like they were oppressed during the whole like internet Biden era, where you know they were suppressing right-wing views and there was a lot of that going on. There was a lot of, you know, like app control instituted.
Of course.
Then the FBI
it's been proven
them, and that's bullshit. It is bullshit. You should be able to be heard. Dissenting voices should always be heard. But the problem with it was that they were silencing them. But that doesn't mean you're fucking oppressed. You weren't, you know. But they act like they were just coming off this like oppression ship, and they won their freedom, you know. And now they're just fucking acting like Neanderthals. But they, you know, a lot of that's what that is. I think a lot of it is they have a sense of entitlement.
I think that feeling like a victim is like a human impulse, you know, wanting to be seen as on the receiving side of oppression rather than the giving, than the you know, the oppressing side, right? I feel like I feel like right. You know, if you can't come to terms with like your privilege or like, you know, or like what you've contributed to any sort of like inequality, I think it's very normal for your mind to want to like create a reality where like, no, actually, you know, I'm the one that's the victim.
I'm the true victim here. Yeah, it's so many people do that. Like so many groups use that as like their power play, as that sort of
Yeah.
like victimhood, you know.
It's like a grasp at control. Like when people
really
feel out
is.
of
Yeah, for
control,
sure.
they need to grasp at control.
Yeah,
Somebody
yeah.
somebody told me once that I don't know if somebody told me or if I read this somewhere, but there was this like what did you study again, Brynn? What did you say you studied
Biology, human biology,
in
pre-med,
college? What was the other word that you used when like the
Anthropology?
sociology? I don't know. Maybe not. I don't
Anthropology.
know. I'm thinking of like sociology and whatnot, but
Anthropology is just
I
to humans, culture, biology, stuff like
Yeah.
that. Mostly it's related to and origins.
I heard this theory that the reason, like, when you drive through like poor neighborhoods, somebody pointed out the fact that like you see a bunch of people jaywalking and they walk super slow across the street and they're forcing like traffic to stop for them and stuff, and that it was a coping mechanism to feeling out of control, and by holding up traffic inadvertently by walking through the street and jaywalking, they weren't doing it because like they're assholes or because like they are, you know, bad people or anything. It was like a subconscious way to make people feel like they had more control over the exterior factors in their life. And it blew my mind to think that, because it's like it transcends race, it transcends politics. It's if you feel like you're lacking control of the things going on in your life, you're going to figure out ways to gain control. You look at like abusive spouses who are like spouses who take out their frustrations on their spouse aren't doing so because they're unhappy most of the time with their spouse. It's because there's something inside them, like cops. Yeah, it's because there's something inside them that deeply damages them.
Look, I support your job. I think law enforcement has an important role to play. You know, just statistically speaking, there's a lot of spousal abuse that occurs amongst law enforcement.
Yeah.
There's a high propensity of fucking serial killers too. You know, there's been a lot of serial killers throughout the history of. I listen to a lot of like murder podcasts, and there's been a lot of serial killers who are cops because that's like their cover. You know, and they desire power.
Yeah, a lot of firefighters who end up being arsonists.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's true.
No, I get it. One of my best friends is a cop, and well, because we were best friends before he became a cop, and I've had like coming to Jesus moments more than once talking to him. He's such a good person, and like that was such a hard thing for me to reconcile was when he became a cop, because I was like, dude, like he's gonna have to do things. I would imagine like the reason I am against policing the way that it is, and I don't say ACAB because I hate dealing in absolutes. Only a Sith deals in absolutes, but I'm against the way the policing is conducted, because even if you're a good person, the system is going to force you to do bad things to good people, and who are in the wrong place at the wrong time, or circumstantially innocent or whatever. Like I always think of this story that I saw a video of these cops arresting this 90-year-old woman who was capturing stray cats, neutering them, and then letting them back out. She was a vet. And she was a retired vet. And in her free time, she was neutering cats for free. And the cops were like, the town was like, you can't do this. Like, you can't, even though she was doing an objectively good thing by minimizing the stray cat population, not by killing them and euthanizing them, which would totally be okay, for the town to do this, but by actually helping them and spaying them. And they arrested this 90-year-old woman for doing this, and that's the example I think of when I think of modern day policing. It's like, this is something that is objectively good, but because it's written down somewhere that it's bad, you have to ruin this person's life over what she has left of her life. Yeah. And I think every cop has to reconcile with that, and I think if you go into, this is where my conflict comes from, because if you go into a profession knowing that you have the possibility to hurt someone who is
destroy lives, absolutely destroy lives.
Yeah,
not even with like violence either. People think, oh, well, cops can use violence. No, they can just do a lot more than that.
100%. Like I see, I don't know what it is, but like my YouTube algorithm, I watch these videos. I think it's because I like watching how people interact with people, but I end up watching a lot of these badge cam videos of like cops arresting people and like shootouts and whatnot. And
I watch like
many.
I watch like Donut Operator. I watched him sometimes.
No, I can't. I used to watch him until
he just does like the breakdowns of like police shootings and stuff.
Yeah. I get that. I get the appeal there. I think it's just more like, as a person, I'm not into him. Whereas like badge cam videos are just objective, like it's just video. It's not like commentary or anything like that. I see these videos where like cops just escalate for no reason
Oh,
and
yeah.
end up,
Oh, yeah.
oh, now you got this charge. Now you get this charge. All right, keep
Or
talking. Now
they
you
just,
got this
or they
charge. Like,
just
dude, what are
shoot
you
up your
doing?
fucking car when an acorn falls on it.
Yeah.
Remember that shit?
Yeah.
Did you see the one recently where the female cop shot the mirror?
Yeah, it shoots at her reflection. Oh my God.
I mean, you got to respect the draw time,
Yeah.
though. That draw time was fast. She was like, bam. She was like sub 2 second.
What if that was a kid?
She just magged
Oh, I know.
fucking
The draw
mirror.
time, great. But like, what if that was a kid? What if that was a innocent
Right?
person?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. No. She definitely. I hope. I mean, I'm sure they let her go. I hope they fucking let her go. She's not out and be doing that job. She's not cut out for that job.
I doubt it. There are far worse things that have been done behind a badge that are still if these people are still employed.
Oh,
I guess
yeah.
it
Oh, my
probably
God,
depends
yeah.
on the
Yeah.
department.
Thanks to, like, the body cams, we see a lot of it now. You know, it's really
Yeah.
brought a lot of it to light. Because people used to treat, like, the idea of, police brutality as some sort of, like, mythos. Like, oh, police brutality is not real. That's just something that, black people say to just complain or, but now we know. We fucking see it,
It's on camera.
It's
Yeah.
on camera, and now it's like mandatory. We can see it all. Before it was just like a myth, and now we're like, oh shit,
A myth, yeah.
Y'all fucking know like what happened now. And there's times you see shit, and it's very easy to have knee-jerk reactions to some of this stuff. Some of the stuff, you're like, because there's a lot of sensationalists on online, and they'll take up
100%.
pieces for their, to make their side look good, or just to get the views and the clicks they want. So, they'd be like, cop executes, unarmed person, and then they'll, show like the other view, and they'll be like, okay, well, they attacked him with a knife and stabbed him in the face, and then he pulled his gun, backed up, and then shot. Yeah, but we wouldn't have known otherwise. So it helps both ways. It helps, clarify just what happened.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, the way I see it is, there's been talks of. It's interesting because I think that if you, and I'm going to say this, and immediately, this is like in another context, I would 100% disagree with this, but my thought is if you have nothing to hide, then you shouldn't be worried about having a camera on you. But then I think about that in the context of like, but granted, like being in the public is not a job. Like you have the right to privacy in a job. When you have power of arrest and power of authority over people, you should be recorded. But there's been talks around the firehouse of us getting cameras in fire apparatus. Like, it's not like we have a high propensity for liability. It's not like we're, doing illegal things in the back of fire trucks. It's just, I feel like it's this desire for control from higher ups. Like, that actually scares me because of mainly just our sense of humor. Like, we don't ever joke at the expense of.
This is going to be like the game chat getting released.
Kinda. But it's not, you know what it is? Like, we joke about things as a coping mechanism, and you remove that and it starts to hurt in other ways. And there's that's the way that I could see it hurting us. And I don't think cops have that same problem though, because the badge cams only go on during a call. That'd be one thing. It'd be one thing if they were like, all right, we're going to run these cameras on your way to a call.
Or they're scrutinizing everything you say. And
it just, I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, I think American policing was at the point where it needed more accountability, so it makes sense to have cameras.
I couldn't imagine why you'd need that maybe if you were going into like a house or something, like you're saying, there's not a lot of like logistical reasons for that to occur.
Yeah, it's a weird topic because it's one of those things where they've got these very generic written up like excuses for why they need it. And it's very like PowerPoint-esque. It's
you imagine,
for increased transparency.
Could you imagine if soldiers had that? Oh my God.
No.
You couldn't do it. You couldn't do it.
I see the stuff.
I mean, just
listen. I've defended people.
A day, like an average person would, if they watched a day just like on a deployment, an average deployment, they'd be like, "What the fuck is wrong with these people? They're all psychopaths."
Yeah, I've defended people in the military for certain things because I knew the context in which that they were said or done to people who, rightfully so, without context, think it's super fucked up. And there are certain things like there are certain things like I had this conversation with somebody the other day about, remember the Scout Sniper SS thing, the SS flag, and there was a scout sniper platoon in the Marines.
Oh,
they
okay.
had an SS flag. It was like the lightning bolt SS. And I remember having this conversation and prefaced it by saying like, hey, I'm not defending this at all because it's fucked up and it's stupid to do that. But there is this mentality in the military, and it's very similar to how when World War II vets came back from Germany, they adopted a lot of Nazi insignia, not because they were Nazis, because they just got done killing Nazis, but it was the only way to get the public from fucking with their bikes, because it was intimidating. It was a known symbol that was intimidating to people. And like, coming from a biker community, I know that backstory. Now in 2025, you have no reason to have a swastika or an SS or anything on your motorcycle. And if you do and you're making excuses for it, there's no real
if I see somebody that has like a swastika, I mean, they're gonna assume that they're a LARPer or a Peckerwood.
Yeah, 100%.
What word do people still say, Peckerwood?
It's not really like a, well, you're from the South, right?
Yeah, well, Peckerwood
originally?
was just a word we used for, like, you know,
It's a good word.
trashy white dude, you know.
Oh, I gotcha.
Tweakers. I don't know.
Oh. I didn't know that there was a context for that. I thought Peckerwood was just like a goofy dude. Like, you're an ass. Like, stop being such a Peckerwood. Like,
so when I always heard
like
of
a
them,
schmuck,
they were just
know?
like criminal tweakers, just like, you know, trashy usually.
Oh, that's funny. There we go again. You say words and you don't realize what they mean. But I remember having this conversation, and I was like really delicate and intentional about saying, listen, I'm not defending these SS dudes, like these dudes that were having the SS flag, but in a combat zone, to intimidate the quote unquote enemy using a symbol that they recognize without speaking English as bad and as danger and as like evil. I can understand the logic behind that. However, there should have never been photos. They should have never gotten out. Like, it was stupid regardless. I would never have done it or justified it, but I understand why they did, if that's like a thing.
That's an interesting thing too. A lot of people, I've been asked a lot about, like, I have a couple of pictures from Iraq and stuff, not like a lot. I have like the unit pictures, you know, where it's like, oh, I went to go stand in front of the cross sabers, you know, and crap like that. But I was in the palace and intelligence, we weren't allowed to have cameras, and cameras were seen as like, you know, this abomination because we had just gotten digital cameras. Digital cameras was the new thing, you know, in 2005. And then look what happened as soon as we got them. What was the first thing that fucking happened? The Abu Ghraib scandal.
Abu Ghraib, yeah.
Because, like, they were just like, oh, we've got cameras now. Let's go ahead and document all our fucking war crimes. That was the first thing that happened. So they got really restrictive of them for a while. But I'm saying, like, could you imagine having, like, body cams on soldiers? You couldn't even have cameras for a fucking, you know, as a new invention for a couple of months before they ended up, you know, causing all sorts of conspiracy.
Putting a kibosh on that.
Yeah.
That, likewise, we used to be allowed to wear GoPros on our helmets when we would go into fires and whatnot. Until somebody got a video of one of our guys getting burned in a fire. Like, not bad, but like singed.
Oh gosh.
And now we're not allowed to have cameras. Not because of, like, you know, somebody did something stupid, but because something was recorded that the department doesn't want getting out, and like they're going to be made to look silly or something like that. That's the suspicion that I have of, because there was a while where we were like, we want to post videos to social media because it's engagement. It gets people, you know, it humanizes us and it makes people realize like what we're doing and things like that. And
they were like, everybody loves firefighters.
Yeah, but it's like, you ever see these like social media accounts from these big city fire departments that are like making funny content and doing things? And great, you're always going to get the person who's like, this is what my tax dollars are going for. But mainly it's, you know, it's for humanization of, because people are still, you know, like, we're losing benefits every contract. Firefighters are losing benefits because of the stigma against pensions, against the stigma of, you know, time and a half for overtime. Firefighting is one of the only jobs that I know of that not all fire departments who work overtime get paid time and a half. Some of them have this thing called Garcia time, where you have to work, I think it's like, we don't have it, but I think it's the first 80 or so hours that you work of overtime are straight pay until you reach 80 hours of overtime for the month. And then all of your overtime after that is time and a half. Yes, it's something. It's something like that. Because It's wild, and I'm sure it's different for different departments that do it, but luckily we're still time and a half for overtime. But things are going away all the time. So by humanizing the fire department, people could say they like us all they want, but if they vote for people who want to cut union rights and collective bargaining and things like that, and then really saying you like us doesn't matter. It's the same thing with soldiers. Conservatives love to say, what about the vets, and then they go and block bills that are going to help homeless vets or vets
and they cut the funding to the VA by 60% and all sorts of crazy shit. I just made that number up, but that's what they do that shit all the time. Well, do you remember a little while back, there was a bill that came up, and this was a big deal for a little while in like the Mill Talk community and just the online military YouTube community and stuff too, because I think Angry Cops talked about this, and it was there was this guy who said that at a certain point they wanted to cut off military retirement benefits for compensation because they wanted to treat it like disability. They're like, okay, well at this point where you make this much money, we're going to cut off disability.
I saw that.
And we were like, no, it's not fucking disability. This is compensation. You are paying us, compensating us for the injuries we incurred. This is not disability. It's not the same thing, but this guy was treating it like it was and he was literally trying to get a bill to cut off disability for people who have a different income. Like you do for Social Security, if you are above a certain income, you can't get benefits because if you're making that money, they're like, well, you're not disabled enough, you can't get it. There's no requirement for military benefits that says, oh, well, you're not disabled enough, you got too much better, unless you're trying to get beyond what you're rated for, which can occur. It's a compensation for the injuries that you incurred that are chronic. They're chronic things that you're never going to get better 100%. They don't look at it and go, well, you walked okay this week, so we're going to go and take half that away. Like, they don't do that. It's just different. You're never going to fall below your rating, but
it's crazy. It's lack of perspective.
Yeah, I'm saying that with the firefighters, though. I'm saying it's like people will try to take your shit away. They want to cut that money from somewhere. They're going to be like, well, this guy just sits around the firehouse all day. Let's take away his fucking pension. It's like...
Yeah, they get paid too much anyway.
You gotta have like a base respect for these professions that we rely on.
I mean, to an extent, it is a job, and it's people say thank you for your service, but like we get paid well, and for the most part, we have good benefits, and I have a good schedule. Like, yeah, sure, we're putting ourselves in harm's way, but we chose to do it. It's not like it's a service, as in like it's mandatory. The thank you for your service thing, I think, was like a very like post 9/11 thing, at least in my memory.
A lot of it was, but they do it as soldiers too. But we have the same reaction. There's like a visceral. Well, we try to be respectful. If a random like person comes over to you, you're gonna be polite. But
no, exactly. It's like when you're listen. I'm never gonna. Anybody who wants to say thanks is welcome to because like it is appreciated. It's absolutely appreciated, but in lieu of doing things that actually count, it doesn't mean anything, And it's one of those things that
empty gestures. People like empty gestures. They just want to feel like they said the nice thing. That's all. That's okay.
Which is okay, also, but stand behind it, Which, like, I know a ton of people who do, and I know a ton of people who vote the way they speak, and that's awesome, but. You can't say thank you for your service to a vet and then vote against.
There was a joke. Sorry, you're finishing up your.
No, you're good. You're good.
Randomly just ate my way into the conversation. There was a joke on TikTok. There was when somebody thanks you for your service and then they hold up their phone with the little tip pad on it, like.
Yeah.
Well, thank me for my service. Oh, you're welcome. And then they hold up the tip pad.
There's going to be a couple buttons on the screen.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to ask you a quick question.
It's going to ask you a few questions.
Yeah.
What questions is it going to ask me?
Should be a voting poll.
I'm all for tipping, but
I talked to I got one barista who she was like real young, and she was like, it's going to ask you about the tip. It's going to ask you for a tip. And I was like, you know what? Thank you, young lady, for just saying it. And she's like, yeah, it makes people really mad, but I just do it anyway. And I'm like,
listen, I give
God
her
bless
a ton
you.
of credit. I would love to live in a country where servers didn't have to rely on tips to pay their bills, but
but yeah, they do. So, which is unheard of in Europe. In
100%.
Europe, if you go to tip someone, they're like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And you're like, "Oh, it's okay, you can
It's
have this." They're like,
disrespectful.
"Huh? Why are you giving this to me?
Yeah.
I'm not poor." And you're like, "No, it's okay, you can have it." I'm just letting you know your service was good. They're like, "I just brought you your food." You know, they don't. It's not like it's culturally.
I get a paycheck, dog. What are you fucking?
Yeah. Brynn, before I forget, I've got to ask you a Patreon question because I forgot the last time you were on, which never happened. But I forgot to ask it.
What a weird thing to say.
I know. It's a strange thing for the words like that to come out of my mouth. How bizarre.
How bizarre.
Tim wants to know what are your thoughts about the Army's new XM7 rifle, and how does it compare and contrast with what you used?
Is that real?
Well, I wasn't like, infantry or anything like that. I have a lot of experience with rifles and stuff, but I'm not like a combat expert or anything. So take my opinion with a grain of salt. But essentially, it's a battle rifle, and it's heavy like a battle rifle. The rounds are heavy like a battle rifle.
We're talking about the spear, right?
The 6 spear. And
it's like a 6.8 or something like that.
It's a 6.8 by 5.1, which is also a 277 Fury. It's a bonded case, which is basically they took like some sort of like zinc steel and they bonded it with the brass. So because the case failure usually occurs at the rim, and so what they did was they basically made the case stronger so they can increase the pressure, thereby increasing the velocity of the round, because velocity equals penetration when dealing with body armor and dealing with cover. So that's what they wanted. They wanted a round that was just what everybody wants, a fast round that's heavy. So they basically, and there's a variety of ammo they have for it, but it's heralded as being armor piercing without having to be armor piercing, which is kind of bullshit because it's a weird alloy. It's not like, this is the round itself. This isn't just like, I'll talk about the platform, but the round is what the platform was built around.
I love how you're like, I'm not an expert, and then proceed to spew the most like informational.
I'm just autistic, so I'm on the
spectrum relatable.
I'm on the spectrum somewhere, so there's a reason I do this shit on YouTube, and it's not just to sell the OnlyFans subscriptions. You have the bond case, right? So you have the higher pressure case. It can go up to like just the standard rounds are like 80,000 psi, which is like double. About 30% higher than a normal round. What they're going for is that, but they also have specific rounds. The ones that the military is issuing right now are a composite solid alloy. So you don't have that copper lead jacket. So you already get penetrative capabilities with it, but it doesn't really seem to defeat body armor like they said. They're still going to have to put like a tungsten core or something in there because it's not enough to really punch through body armor. But my opinion on the XM7, it's a well-made rifle. The ergonomics of it are great. The controls of it are great. The average soldier is not going to be able to carry and handle that rifle. I mean, when I say average soldier, I mean like Army pogues. Only a small percentage of the military is combat arms, and infantry. A lot of them are not going to be able to handle that rifle. The M4 is just a little bitty toy compared to that rifle. It's lightweight. 5.56 is a kitty cat round, it's like firing a freaking 22, and then this thing kicks. Not like a lot, but it's like firing 308 or 30-06.
I just love that we reinvented the fucking BAR. Like, not only did we go back to the fucking to the carry handle mounted optic heights, but charged a premium for it. Now we reinvented the BAR and we're acting like it's some fucking revolutionary platform. It's a 20 round fucking machine gun with a giant fucking bullet.
Yeah, it's not super new. Like, it's not like the case idea is a new idea. So they just
that's lit. That's good.
That's a new thing, and they haven't really pushed it to its limit, but it puts a lot of stress on the gun. So the guns are going to break down a lot faster. So just logistically, it's going to be a fucking nightmare. I don't know where all this shit came from, but there's some fucking general somewhere that's retired at SIG right now, and he is sitting very well. Because there was really no reason to do this. I mean, as a DMR, It's a great rifle as a marksmanship rifle. When I was in, I was attached to a private security detail for a little bit. It's just like an extra detail thing I had to do. So if someone in the unit was going on convoys, because I was an expert marksman, so they put me on the 50 cal on the Humvee, and before they let me do that, they made me go through all these different courses in Kuwait, and one of them was the designated marksman rifleman, designated rifle marksmanship, because they had all these like asymmetrical warfare guys, like ex special forces, Delta secret patrol guys, and they were teaching soldiers, contracted, were teaching soldiers, these instructional marksmanship. So we did like pistol, DMR, and all the mounted systems. We did all the machine guns and the 50 cal and all that crap, and just moving basic marksmanship while moving, while being in a vehicle, dismount, just all the stuff you need to know. Right. So that's just a little background. Like I have a little bit of an idea of what's going on.
Yeah.
That shit. And as a DMR, it's a good rifle. It's a good ideal replacement for the SR10. It's better than 308. Ballistically, the rifle is better than 308. It's not as accurate as 308. Maybe you could squeeze a little bit of accuracy out of it, but it's like, maybe a 2.3 MOA gun. So it's not super duper precise. Oh, wow. But
is that the fault of the round though, or is that?
I think a lot of it is. I think a lot of it is because of the pressures. It probably fucks with the barrel harmonics. You really need to do a lot of fine tuning to dial that in. But the rounds themselves too, they don't have a very good standard deviation. They have 20, 30 feet per second, which is going to give you a lot of loss of precision.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, they're not really, it's just not an inherently accurate system. So I don't think that it's the best way to replace the SR10, SR25. I always called it SR10, SR25, the AR10 that we use.
How long till they put this round in a belt-fed, water-cooled machine gun on a tripod? In a crew
well, they don't even want to do that. They want to, they're doing 338 normal mag. That's a crazy good round. That's a very good round.
Yeah, fuck yeah, dude.
And that will definitely...
Dude, that rips. Like a fucking 200 round box of that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like $10 a round.
Just fucking send it, dude.
I don't even know what that is.
338 Nova Mag. It's the...
Imagine like a bullet, and then imagine it bigger, and then imagine it too big and too fast.
Yeah.
Too fast. Too big, too fast.
It's like as big as you can make a round without making it like a big bore. Round where you have to have new metals and new shit to like a 50 cal or something. So it's right there in that cusp.
That's cool.
So overall it's okay. It's not a bad gun. It's too much for a normal Joe. It shouldn't be everyone's weapon. I don't know how that's gonna work. Honestly.
Yeah.
We should have just gone back.
They're just gonna have to fucking lift. They're just gonna have to
brands again.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What's funny, I tested 30-06 after I tried the 277, and the 30-06 went through everything. The AP, I had this it's like 100-year-old round.
That round fucking, I love 30-06.
30-06 looks cool.
It's the first gun that I ever shot on my own was my granddad's sporterized 1903. I don't know if he brought it home or picked it up from a fucking depot or something, but it was an old.
There's a lot of 1903s that just sort of popped
up.
Ended up here.
It's got a department store stock on it that he had fiberglass bedded, and it's a real sloppy job, but it works.
Yeah.
And it's the front sight post is shaved down, and there's this fucking Permacenter 3 times scope with the German T-post on it. It's a real cool. It's fucking sick. It's an awesome rifle.
I love 1903.
Yeah. And it just the first time I shot it was a fucking revelation. It was
so. You shot the 19, because that's a big ass.
I was 21. No, I was 20 years old. I was 19 or 20 years old.
I was trying to picture an 8-year-old shooting 30-06. I was like,
no. My dad was real. He wasn't he's a real pro gun guy, but he just doesn't want to go outside, so I never went hunting or shooting with him.
But also in terms of like the XM7, the optic they're putting on that thing is incredible.
Oh yeah.
What are
That
they
thing
putting
is
on it?
amazing. That thing is like dummy proof. If it stands up to like the test of time, that thing is huge for mid range.
Is this the optic with the rangefinder?
Yeah, yeah. It's the
Oh, that
ballistic
thing's
computer built
insane.
into it, and they just press the button. It moves like it will move the electronic.
Oh, the BDC.
Yeah. So you don't even have to
Yeah.
like use the BDC or do anything. It just like boop, puts like a little crosshair there, and you just put that on your target, and off you go.
Yeah, I guess you just, as long as the optic knows what range you've zeroed it at, and then it can just make any calculation based on its rangefinder.
Yeah, but then again, it's not that hard to make calculations. Like shooting out the 500 yards, you're just like just aim up a little bit, you'll be fine.
Yeah, for sure. But, you know, I mean, I guess like for fucking, I don't know what kind of drooling dunces they're going to try to drag into the army for World War III.
That's
but,
true, yeah.
you know.
They need
just
that,
look
like,
at it now.
They need that gun that just the bullets are just like homing bullets.
Yeah. I know what we'll do for the morons who can't compensate for a bullet drop. We're going to give them a fucking computer. To shoot. We're gonna give them the most complicated weapon system known to man that needs an IT support tail behind it, you know.
They love that. Oh my god, the military loves releasing new technology that is broken and doesn't work and requires like a ton of like specialists to try and get it to work. They love that shit.
Oh yeah.
But are there any more Patreon questions? Did that answer that question?
No, that was good. That was a good Patreon question. That was a good Patreon answer. Good question, also, Tim. Thank you for that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You know, it's funny this vibe, the structure of this podcast, this episode, if you want to call it, the structure was far different than the one that I made up in my mind that never happened. But I think it went very well, and
I'm so glad to have been here for the whole thing, the whole time.
Yeah, same. You're always here in spirit. I keep a picture of you on my background on my second monitor, so I always feel like
the whole time you're gone. He just like dotes over you and talks about how great you are, and how much.
I do.
Come on.
I like this guy. He's all right.
Get out of here.
You weren't supposed to tell him.
Oh, sorry. I'm gonna embarrass you like that in front of your brothers.
No, you're good. I told her to tell you. Brynn, if you had a piece of advice for people at home, it could be, I mean, you already know what I'm going to say because we already asked this question once. What would that piece of advice be?
Don't give it away. Honestly, I'm going to say the same thing I said last time. I mean, the time in your head. What did I say in your head? I'm going to guess what I said in your head. And it was basically, be kind to people. Be kind and because we're all in the same shit sandwich, you know. We're all in this together some way or another. So it's just be kind to people. That was my general advice. My secondary advice is get a gun and learn how to use it and be prepared to use it because you never know what the fuck's gonna happen and shit's gonna fall apart. Or somebody's gonna knock on your door. You never know.
Yeah.
Personal security.
Get a gun before you need a gun.
Exactly. Personal security.
That's really it.
It's an individual responsibility. It is not a government responsibility. It is not, your fucking dad's responsibility. It's your responsibility to protect yourself and your family, regardless if you're a man, a woman, I wouldn't say a child, but,
middle schooler.
It's an individual responsibility, and it's very important because you never know which side you're going to end up on. When if things ever got uncivil, because God forbid they ever do, but you have to be prepared.
Things are certainly not getting more civil. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it's going in that direction, but there's always the potential to take a big left turn and shit hits the wall. So.
Yep.
I used to tell people when they would ask me why I carry a gun, I used to say because a cop is too small, but now I typically say because the cop in my pocket is going to shoot me because he feared for his life.
In a civil society, there's a quote. What is that? I'm going to butcher this. An armed society is a civil society?
Yeah. Armed society is a polite society. That's the...
Thank you. I couldn't remember.
Heinlein. Oh my God.
Heinlein.
Another one of my children is awake.
Uh-oh. They screaming?
Yeah.
What a life. All right, well, we can end here anyway, and you can go take care of your chitlins, man.
You can ask me the gun
Yes.
questions. Give me the gun questions real quick. I'll throw those out there. Oh, you can go.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Wait.
Go.
Doing your job for
Wait,
you.
what gun questions?
You did the thing where you're like, oh, what's your
The
favorite?
rapid fire.
Oh,
like
yes.
Yeah.
How did I forget that?
Yeah, reminding you. I know
You
you
got the
God.
ADD.
All right. Yes. This is what we need to do. Yes, we did this. Thank you for remembering this. All right. Favorite caliber, go.
Rifle.
Sure.
Overall,
Yeah.
BMG. Rifle 308. Pistol 45.
Goddamn 45 ARP.
God's caliber. Yeah, it's a great caliber.
God's caliber.
Great caliber. The more I shoot it, the more I love it.
It's, you know what it is? 45 out of a 1911 is an experience.
It is. Anything I shot 45 out of, just it's so, I don't know, it's just easy.
I got a Marlin Camp carbine.
You got a what? Oh, you do?
Marlin Camp 45. Yeah.
I have one in 99 millimeter. It's a nice rifle. Those are actually pretty good rifles.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I want to send it to God, what is his name? Cotton Branch Customs to have him make a Delisle out of it. Well, integrally suppressed barrel.
No, that would be
that'd be sick.
awesome. Yeah.
He gonna charge me like $3,000 though, so I gotta budget for that. I got a budget for that.
Oh.
One
Brynn,
day.
what is one gun you'll never sell?
Hey, I have to leave. Everything's falling apart.
All right.
You continue, but
we
my
will.
life is in chaos, absolute chaos.
Bye, Andrew.
He's got young kids. They have little kids.
He does. He has three young kids.
That's how it is. The only rifle that I would keep now, in light of all recent developments, is my M107, my 50 cal semi-auto, and I'm gonna say because there's nothing that can't stop.
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
Yeah, ammo, like that's like, they say like a gun could change the world. And that one could change a lot more worlds. It's just, armored vehicles, helicopters. You never know what you're going to need it for.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I can do everything with. Obviously I can't. Well, then that's only going to have. I can't ADC. Damn. Now I'm screwed.
It's the only one you can't ADC?
Huh?
Oh, I see. Yeah, you won't be able to
I only get to
ADC
keep one. I have to keep that one just because I'm like prioritizing. If
you have a 50 cal, you don't need to conceal carry. Who's gonna fuck with you?
Well, what am I gonna do? I can't just if I'm out in public,
Yeah, not in Washington.
This is why nobody owns just one gun, because you're like, well, I need one for ADC, I need one for summer, I need one for winter, I need one that's long range, I need one that's long range and lighter, I need one that's long range and heavier, I need one that's compact. I need one.
No, I hear you. No, I hear you. It's easy to go down that rabbit hole for sure.
It is.
Best post range meal.
Best post range meal.
Yes.
Probably the same as like my post workout meal. This my favorite is sushi. I just like, the simplicity of raw fish and nigiri specifically. So just like protein and carbs and simple.
That's a good choice. I would not have picked that, but that's I wouldn't have assumed that. But sushi, I love sushi. Yeah. I immediately go to like greasy foods for some reason. I love a good burger. I love like hot dogs and stuff.
Yeah, I love barbecue.
Or barbecue.
Yeah.
What's your what is the most underrated piece of gear?
Oh gosh, underrated piece for what? For just going to the range or like tactical stuff or like LARPing?
No, yeah. Let's say tactical stuff. Like what's the most underrated piece of gear for your kit? You think?
Oh my god, dude! I want to make like one of those like really good quotes, like like I'm some sort of like special forces like badass. Your mind.
Or if you're more comfortable answering for the range.
The most important piece of gear. Sharpen it.
Most underrated.
Anything. Right, underrated. Whatever. A pencil. No, I don't fucking know. Oh my god. I don't remember what I said last.
You're the one who wanted these questions.
Well, I don't know. I mean.
No, I'm glad you brought them up. I forgot about them.
I'm thinking of like a million things that you need. Underrated piece of gear. Jesus Christ.
You want to know my answer?
What's your answer?
A folding stool.
A folding stool? Like
a little chair that folds up like a camp stool.
Little thing. Yeah. That's like a good
having a place to sit that's not on the dirt.
That's a really good like field item. I definitely would have forgot that. Because y'all call it camping in the Marine Corps, right?
No, we call it like going out to the field.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what we called it.
Camping's the fun kind.
Yeah, camping's like, I thought y'all called it camping anyway. I thought that was like a Marine Corps thing. Maybe I was just wrong about that.
No, I don't think so.
Oh my gosh. I keep thinking of like, in terms of like, oh my god, there's just so much that's underrated. Okay, well, just think something that's underrated. I would just say probably a toolkit. Like,
Yeah.
maybe that's not underrated though. What?
Well, I mean, it could be for if you're.
And I always forget it. So that's
I
what
don't know a lot of people that carry toolkits with them, like that bring an actual toolkit to the range
I can't tell you how many
like a
times I've been
gunsmithing
out
kit.
and I've like had something break or I need to make an adjustment or there's a stupid little screw on a scope and I don't have the key or the tool for it and that's like fucking irritating. But
I need to make my own because I have a lot of the individual tools. I just don't have them all in one kit that I bought. So like I need to make my own little bag, I think, and just throw a bunch of tools in it.
I recently bought like a little like tiny gunsmith kit that I carry with me as a result of it because they have if you buy like gun stuff you have a billion Allen keys all over the house and none of them fit so,
and they're all shitty.
yeah so,
it's like the Allen keys you get with IKEA furniture.
You're
only meant to use them once.
Like cheap aluminum, and they all fall apart or they're just like a little bit too small and they strip your screws and it's all awful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think like a good
toolkit.
Armorer's kit, like a little armor kit, is
those are good.
That gets overlooked.
What is the weirdest DM you've ever gotten?
The weirdest DM I've ever gotten. Oh, I got this one DM that was like, dudes. Oh, there was this. Oh, I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. There was a trend on TikTok for a little while where these guys would DM girls and basically trying to like riz them up or whatever. And this guy left a voice message in my DMs basically asking me out and saying if I wanted to come over and spend the night at his house. And then he sent me a picture of his bed and it was like a car bed. Like those like
instant date.
Yeah, and I think it was meant as like a joke or like self-depreciating or something. I was like, surely you don't sleep in a fucking car bed. And I responded to it because it was like, I thought it was creative because he was like, hey, and it was a voice message too. He was like, hey, can I get you to come over and spend the night in my bed? And that was the picture was like this like car bed, like it was like Lightning McQueen or some shit. And I responded to it.
That's awesome.
And I was like, yeah, I'll be right there. And he was like, holy shit, I didn't think you'd respond. Like he cut the act and he went into like the oh my god, you're real and you responded to me. Yeah, but that was
reaction time.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's actually
confidence at that, but I feel like
you gotta have a follow up.
Weird.
Just
it was
in case
weird.
the
I was
person...
like, what's going on? I didn't know it was like a trend or something. They were joking around, but so that's how I took his virginity. You gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, on a Lightning McQueen bed, that is a story to tell the grandkids for sure.
I bet your mother.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe not. I would not want to hear that story. Let's see. Red dot or irons?
For what?
Yeah, that's a loaded question. For a pistol.
Oh gosh. Again, that's like a adaptability thing. I don't carry a red dot on my carry. I can shoot comfortably out to 50 yards with irons without really aiming. But that's a lot of my training and experience. However, a red dot it can be very, very useful for precision shots. So it's hard for me. I'm sorry, it's hard for me. I'm overthinking it.
No, I don't have a red dot on my carry handgun either, but I have a red dot on the one that I use for competition.
Yeah, well, if I'm going to shoot in a competition, typically, I'll want a red dot. But I don't even. I mean, like I said, when I shoot now, I rarely even look at the sights anymore. I usually just point shoot because I've been doing it for so long. I just know where my rounds are going to go most of the time, unless I'm shooting past 25 yards. That's the thing, that's the ticket where I'm like, a red dot is extremely useful if I'm trying to hit a target past 25 yards. It's not necessary, but it's comfortable. I like shooting with red dots. So I'd say overall, I'm going to say red dots. I'd say overall there's more advantages to it, but do not stop using irons. You have to be prepared.
Yeah, well, that's a big thing.
Yeah.
That's like one of the things that scares me about the military, going to these optics that have built-in rangefinders in them. Like if you get rid of people's ability to figure out Kentucky windage, that's like that's not good.
I don't think they ever will, because they still teach like manual land nav, and everybody's got GPS. So, but you still have to know how to do stuff analog, because So those
Yeah,
skills
yeah.
are still there. They're very perishable, but I think they'll still teach people how to use without.
I shot a relatively accurate azimuth like a month ago in the woods, and I was super proud of myself.
Were you using a lensatic or?
Nope, I was using my phone, but I was.
How does that work? Is there a way to do that on
it-
your phone? I've never done it on my phone.
It was whatchamacallit? It was this app that I have that. So when I say that, it was me looking through the camera, and it's like a superimposed compass on my camera.
Mm-hmm.
And what I was doing was picking a spot out in the distance and walking to it, picking a spot out in the distance and walking to it, based on the heading that I needed to go. Just like testing myself to see how accurate I could be based on like, and they were pretty decent distant. I would say probably an eighth of a mile. Well, like visually, I'd say an eighth of a mile-ish, maybe a little under than that between spots.
Mm-hmm.
And in like a wooded area. So it was relatively complicated but I was picking pretty decent landmarks and whatnot.
Yeah.
And, I don't know if I could, I still remember the basics, but I remember trying to explain it to someone at work like a year or two ago, and I couldn't explain it anymore. So it is definitely perishable.
I still kind of remember. I remember like you look through the little thing, you line up on the lensatic because you have to do the little triangle thing through it. And you point to an object and you look at there's like a little mirror and you push it down and that locks it in place. And then you have your azimuth and then you put your protractor down and you get the direction of your protractor and you draw a line through it. That's what I remember. Pretty simple.
Yeah, I remember like people, that was probably one of the coolest things that we did in like SOI was like they literally just throw you into the woods and they're like, all right, it's like a scavenger hunt. You got to find boxes with numbers on them.
Yeah, that's a normal like army training thing. They do that in like, when we go to leadership courses, they always throw a land now course in there everybody's got to do.
But I just remember thinking like, this is so fucking cool. There was guys that were getting crazy lost, but like,
I like doing it.
It's an ammo can. I thought it was cool. It was it's just ammo can in the middle of the woods with white letters on it or numbers on it, and
they're hard.
You gotta walk like a mile and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta walk like a mile and a half in between spots.
Yeah.
And find an ammo can in the woods.
Yeah.
And like either myself or the guys I was with, like we found I think 9 out of 10 of them. And before they were like, all right, we're done.
There's a lot of people who are terrible at land nav. Like that's like some soldiers are just fucking awful at it. I'm sure in the Marines probably too.
The second lieutenant is lost and has hypothermia.
That's the joke, but there's a lot of truth behind that.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, Brynn, this was awesome having you on again.
For the first time?
For the first time, yeah, for the first time. I appreciate you coming on. And thank your team for reaching out and setting this up.
This guy right here, this is my coordinator.
Yeah, I keep looking over at it, and I can't tell what he has in his hand. It looks like he's texting.
Oh no, she's just like this. This is I got this at so like JCPenney went out of business, and they were selling all their mannequins. So I picked this up for like $10. It's like a thick lady.
Hell yeah.
It's a thick ass lady, and she's like fucking 6 feet tall.
That's awesome.
And I was like, "That's perfect."
Oh yeah.
So I got it, and I was like, "I'll just stick it in the corner because she actually like I can fit my gear on her."
That's
and
amazing.
I got the 1014. That's the Marine Corps M4. Yeah, like that.
What is that?
That's the 1014.
It's a little blurry because it's. Oh, that's cool.
I think in the Marine Corps it's the M4s in the Marine Corps. I think is what it is.
Oh, I got you.
It's the shotgun. It's the Marine Corps shotgun. It's got the globe and anchor on it too. It's like it was somebody's
thing.
Anyways.
Cool.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can.
No, you're good. You're good. We got to do something if we ever go out to the West Coast. We got to get together and shoot guns.
Yes, for sure, 100%.
Because you're acquiring quite the collection.
I have quite a few. So come on out. We'll do some shooting.
Sounds good.
Blow some stuff up.
Absolutely. Oh, if you're still listening, go check out our Patreon. I'm really bad at letting people know. Go to our Patreon and be like, what we're doing.
Go to my OnlyFans. I'm just kidding. You don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Unless you want to. Unless that's
which case.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Sick. Well, Brynn, thank you again. And
Thanks for having me.
Until next time.